Hey guys, Happy New Year! Sorry it's been a while over here on the YouTube. I've just been working on loads of stuff, which we're going to talk about today. Now, if you are a Patreon, you probably saw me post about this 2 weeks ago, and I think it's about a year since I last showed this on YouTube, and judging from the response that the Shut Your Mouth version 2 video preview got, I thought I'd do the same here for Smackdown vs. Raw. But first, if you haven't already, please hit that like button and that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already. Also, you can sign up at patreon.com/ScottJay for more regular content. Alright, let's get started. So when I first showed this off a little over a year ago, the plan was to try and expand upon SmackDown vs. Raw and make it a more complete experience, rather than just add a few officially removed superstars and a few attires that were changed. And while yes, all that's there, I just wanted this to be a more new feeling game. Much like Smackdown Shut Your Mouth and 2006's Definitive Edition, this follows the same pattern, whereby it covers that year in wrestling as accurately as possible. For starters, one of the biggest issues with the game has been corrected, and that is the roster size. With legendary faithfuls such as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley / Cactus Jack, TV regulars like the Hurricane, William Regal, Lance Storm, and Val Venus, as well as some newcomers such as Eugene, help bring the roster to a much more comfortable size. Not to mention an expanded section of legends featuring the additions of Hulk Hogan, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Mr. Perfect, and others help breathe new life into this tired title. And as seen in the screenshots here, the game features brand new attires for both new and existing characters to closely match events from the second half of 2003 and the first half of 2004. And I'm still quite puzzled as to why THQ and Ukes didn't do this themselves. It really seems that after Just Bring It, the quest to stay as up to date as possible at the cost of the time period and funness of the game really hurt the overall and final product. Alright, let's move on to season mode. Now, when you first start up season mode, you might notice, depending on who you pick, a few visual changes. Some of these have been changed to what they were like in several prototypes, rather than that of the retail game. For starters, when you click the WWE memo to receive a title shot, you'll notice that the Vince McMahon render is not an in-game render, and rather a stock render of Vince McMahon in 2003. Now, I actually like this a lot more. It's just one of those little cut things you see and you're like, oh, I want that. Plus, I kind of thought SmackDown vs. Raw's Vince model was a little off. Speaking of titles, the default champions in season mode are now set to who the champions were after WrestleMania 20. So, Eddie Guerrero is the WWE champion, Chris Benoit is the World Heavyweight champion, Randy Orton is the Intercontinental champion, and John Cena is the United States champion. Now, interestingly enough, there is a version of this menu with both sets of tag team titles under their brand's respective world championship. So, underneath the World Heavyweight title, there's the World Tag Team titles, and under the WWE title, there is the WWE Tag Team titles. However, no champions are assigned, and of course, there are no storylines to compete for tag team titles. It's cool that the graphics are there, and I still haven't decided whether I'm going to put that back in or not, because obviously you can't compete for the tag team titles, which is annoying in and of itself, and kind of why I was against Superstar voiceover and the game's moving more to a story mode rather than a season mode. I felt like Here Comes the Pain had gone back more to SmackDown 2 season mode with advanced stat tracking, tons of like records, whether it be your win-loss records against opponents, obviously loads of title belt history, obviously pages of number one contenders assigned to each individual championship, as well as individual championship records for every single superstar, so you could make The Rock 7-time WWF champion and 2-time world champion if you were going for accuracy. So after a step in the right direction, I was pretty sad to see the series veer in the complete opposite direction, going this way. While we're on the subject of championship belts, the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship use the discarded textures that were in the prototype of SmackDown Shut Your Mouth that are also in the new SmackDown Shut Your Mouth Definitive Edition. So you have the far more accurate Undisputed Championship with the two-tone gold. I know it's called the WWE Championship now, but you know what I mean. And a much better looking World Heavyweight Championship. I can't believe they discarded these photos of the actual championships and instead opted to use renders of the replica titles that were on sale at the time. Continuing on with season mode, all characters on the playable roster are now selectable for season, including Kurt Angle. So you're probably wondering what happens to the general manager role. Well, I have gone into the sound files and removed all of Kurt Angle's GM of SmackDown dialogue, therefore it is silent. However, Paul Heyman is now the permanent GM of SmackDown, leaving Kurt Angle to be an active wrestler on the roster. Now obviously there isn't voiceover for Paul Heyman as GM, so you will need to play with captions on to see the dialogue, but I think it's a small trade-off for something that is far better long-term for the health of the season mode. Lastly, there are a few brand changes for some of the superstars in season, just to be more accurate to the time period. Now time for one of the little things. Now if you've seen the in-match Smackdown meters up until this point, you'd notice they still say clean or dirty. Unlike in earlier builds and the previous game Here Comes the Pain, where clean or dirty was still referred to as face or heel. This has been restored, so do not worry, where it once used to say clean, it will now say face, and where it once used to say dirty, it will now say heel. If you're a little younger, you might see this as quite a minor thing. However, I will say that when this game was being marketed, most print media publications had builds where it still read as face and heel. And as a consumer, all the new things that you were seeing excite you. And once you buy the physical product in hand and you see all the omissions that were still in Here Comes the Pain, but not in this game, and then a lot of the things you were excited about, whether they be minor or just minor visuals, whether that be the face and heel status, whether that be 2 or 3 removed characters or changed attires, such as the world's greatest tag team, or Jindrak and Cade not being Jindrak and Cade anymore. While sure, they're more up to date, but the game just feels like a big mismatch, and you're not getting what was previewed, which is kind of what you were hyped up and excited to play. So these are the types of things, I always say it's the little things, right? And you're not really getting the thing that what you saw visually hyped you up for months on end. You're getting something similar, but it doesn't have a lot of those things you already saw. If they were removed or taken away, you're like, well, okay, you could have given me this, but I could have also had the thing that I'd been waiting months for, right? So it's these little things that sort of really G me up to make a definitive edition. It's more the minor than sort of the grandiose, because I feel they're just as important to the experience. Alright, let's move on to the create modes. First with create a moveset. Now this is something that took an age to do, but it was super important to me. You see, in the Smackdown games, from Smackdown 1 all the way to Smackdown Shut Your Mouth, all the moves, and specifically superstar-specific moves, were named correctly. So it was so much easier to navigate through the mode and find what you're looking for. For example, if you were searching for Rock's DDT, you'd look under People's DDT. There it is. One of Austin's Spinebusters. There you go, Austin Spinebuster. Until Here Comes the Pain, where they decided to make a terrible change and group all the moves, such as DDT1, DDT2, DDT3, Spinebuster 1, 2, 3, and then they made it even worse in SmackDown vs. Raw by continuing the trend. So I have painstakingly gone through and renamed every single move that was in SmackDown 1 all the way to Shut Your Mouth back to what they were originally, and anything new that was added in Here Comes the Pain and in Smackdown vs. Raw retains its name from those games. However, if it is character specific and easier to find that way, in that instance, it's been renamed. And of course, there are removed moves added back in, such as Undertaker and Austin Spinebusters, to name but a few. So for example, if we take a look at this photo of Austin in Create a Moveset, you'll see that all of his moves are named correctly. You'll see the Austin back chop, both Stone Cold Stunners, and then a generic suplex number 4, just like it should have stayed. Again, I know this might be a minor thing for some fans, but hopefully enough of you do enjoy this that going to the trouble of renaming everything was worth it. In addition to that, just like in the new SmackDown Shut Your Mouth Definitive Edition, SmackDown vs. Raw version 2 features a whole host of new Titantrons and theme music. All superstars and legends have their Titantrons and theme music, as well as some additional Titantrons and theme music, such as Evolution, who come with 2 Titantrons, one with Randy Orton and one without, because that's the stuff that's fun. Moving on to create a pay-per-view and create a belt, 2 features that were thrown around for SmackDown Shut Your Mouth and then slated for Here Comes the Pain, but never materialized, finally make it into SmackDown vs. Raw. Unfortunately, I felt that these 2 modes were completely hindered upon release. Firstly, due to such a small roster, and secondly, because in Create a Belt, they had no real official belt template. This changes as in Create a Championship now, there are now over 30 official championship belts, spanning from the WWF, WCW, WWE, ECW, the NWA, and NWA TNA. So now you can actually create belts to your liking, unfortunately no tag team belts, put them on the line in Create a Pay-Per-View with the much expanded roster, whether it be the current roster or Legends. And again, presentation wise, if it had come out like this, with I suppose a bigger roster, accurate attires from sort of the previous year that it was covering, and more legends, which sort of made sense, where you would have rivalries and things like that, as well as title belts of real titles. It just makes both modes so much more worthwhile. A few other small notes. The main menu, for those of you who are tired of the divas dancing around, has been changed to superstars in superstar specific poses, such as Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Kane, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, and others. So if you don't want the divas dancing about and don't care for that stuff like me, you can just have a selection of Raw superstars in the Raw menu and SmackDown superstars in the other menu. Again, I know, very minor, but me as a sports person, I cared about wrestling as a sports game, so I did not care at all about that stuff. I know some of you do, so don't worry, there will be a version which you just have the standard menu. But for those that don't care about the divas, don't worry about it. You got a better menu. Okay, that'll do it for this first early preview. There's a whole bunch of interior differences as well, like there was in Smackdown Shut Your Mouth, such as pop culture references and things that you would have seen in arenas at the time. Oh shoot, the Smackdown fist is climbable again. Oh, I didn't take screenshots. Okay, alright, that too, I'll put that in the next update. Anyway, you guys, sorry I left it so long. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're already not a subscriber. I promise there will be more videos soon. I have to have neck surgery some point this year, and that is when a whole bunch of just regular video game videos will be going up on this channel. I filmed them all last year and even the year before, in preparation to have content for when I won't be able to make fresh content. And then, of course, for more regular updates and games and whatnot, head on over to patreon.com/Scott, Jay. And until next time, guys, Happy New Year. I hope you had a fantastic holiday season, and I'll see you guys very soon.